Shri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Agajanana Padmarkam Gajananam Aharnisham Anekadam Tam Bhaktanam Ekadantam Upasmahi. Welcome to all for this special session on Ganesha Purana to the chapter 30. In the previous chapter, it was King Rukmangada who happens to be son of King Bhima. He came to forest for hunting and visited the hermitage of sage Vachaknavi and his wife Mukunda. Unfortunately, as Vachaknavi had left for the ritual bath, his wife Mukunda got attracted towards the beauty of the king and forced him to have the meeting with him. The king, with all his senses in his control, he rejected the advances of Mukunda and left the hermitage without taking a drop of water. But wife of the sage Mukunda, she got disgusted and she cursed on the king, saying that let him be attacked by the leprosy. King was immediately got attacked by that leprosy, and he had decided to give up his wife, he gave up his life, and he was sitting under a banyan tree. In the meantime, he saw sage Narada going by in the divine path, and he bowed to him. And on seeing him, sage Narada came down and asked him about what exactly happened. King Rukmangada explained everything that happened, and then sage Narada told him there exists a wonderful divine spot called as Chintamani Vinayaka, where there is a Ganesha Kunda, and he had seen a Shudra taking a Shudra means someone who did not had any kind of good karmas or good rituals or good. I mean, he doesn't know anything good. He was not even performing proper worship or anything. He was only taking care of himself all through his life. Even such a person, by simply taking a dip in that Ganesha Kunda as part of his pilgrimage, he was immediately taken to Ganesha Loka with a special aerial vehicle that came from the Ganesha Loka itself. So he attained Ganesha Loka. That means he attained Mukti, salvation, just by taking a dip in that Ganesha Kunda with and got a celestial body. And he told Rukmangada that he could also do the same kind of a thing. On hearing this, Rukmangada is interested in knowing more about that Ganesha Kunda, and on account of that, sage Narada started telling him the story in which Ahalya was once violated by Indra. Ahalya, who happens to be wife of sage Gauthama, she was cheated by Indra once. Let us see in what way these are connected. Narada said, once I went to see Indra at Amaravati, and after he had honored me as prescribed, severely stooped down, he spoke, O sage, tell me something wonderful that will give me pleasure. You wander all the worlds, and so you know everything. So here the king of the demigods, Indra, was seeking pleasure, and he wanted to know, is there any wonderful thing that is existing across the three worlds? Because Narada would be wandering across the three worlds, he would be knowing about everything. So sage Narada here wants to satisfy the pleasure of Indra. So he started narrating about Ahalya happens to be wife of sage Gauthama. In the world of mortals, I saw Gauthama's large hermitage with its lattices of various creepers and trees and its flock of various birds. I saw Gautama there with Ahalya, but after seeing her beauty, even I became agitated with lust. Sage Narada, who happens to be the most celebrated among the celibate, he also got agitated by the lust by seeing her beauty. Because of her beauty, she was known in the world as Savitri, a Sachi, a Lakshmi, a Girida, Girida, sorry, it's actually Girijatmaja ಇರಬೇಕು. Girija, an Urvashi, a Menaka, Rambha, these are all celestial beauties who are known in the whole world. A Tilottama, by whom was produced children like Brahma and Shiva. He continued to compare Ahalya with great women, celestial women who are known across the whole world. Even she was also like Anasuya, who happens to produce Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu as her children. She was having such a celestial beauty, and at the same time, she was having divine powers. She was like Arundhati, who happens to be wife of Vasistha. She was so powerful. Chaya, who is the shadow of Sangna, who happens to be the wife of sun god, and Aditi, who happens to be wife of Kashyapa. So Narada went on comparing her with all divine women across the world. Not even a single one of them was like her, nor could there have been anyone among the wives of Nagas. I came quickly to visit this excellent Amaravati, but look at this lovely lady. Without her, even your Amaravati is insignificant. So Narada is using the situation wherein the Indra is filled with lust. So he explained the celestial beauty of Ahalya, comparing her with Urvashi, Menaka, Rambha, Tilottama, just like Apsarastris. And at the same time, he also compared her with the divine women who happens to be wife of various sages like Anasuya or Vasishta, Samna. So he compared them with so many such celestial women. And at the end of that explanation, he told that without her, your Amaravati is insignificant. The sage said, speaking thus to Shakra, who means the Indra, the sage who was fond of song disappeared from the spot. When the illustrious Narada, best of sages, had disappeared, Indra happens to be killer of Jamba, swooned as he had been wounded by Kama, who has a fish on his banner. He thought, when will I see the wife of sage Gauthama? And after I have experienced the nectar of her lips, when will I be free from this passion's fire? I see nothing else to live for except for a lovely embrace with her. Quite naturally, people may be having the doubt, thinking that why Narada has instigated Indra to commit a mistake by by attack, by doing some disrespect to the Ahalya, but who happens to be sage of Gauthama. Narada is always interested in doing something good for the sake of society. And in this, it's a situation where Indra is filled with the lust, and he is using that lust so that if he goes down and try to disrespect Ahalya, with that something good might happen in future. Let us see what good will going to happen in future. Soon Indra came up with a plan. He came down to the hermitage of Gauthama. At that very moment, Ahalya was alone in the hermitage, and her husband Gauthama had gone out for the bath. Indra immediately took the form of Gauthama, happens to be the husband of Ahalya. He went inside and said, "O wife, prepare a lovely bed for us." Ahalya was confused. She asked, why have you stopped reciting scriptures and came home at this point? Because this is the time where he was supposed to have the ritual bath and start doing the reciting of the scriptures. Why Gautama came back without doing all those things? Why did you make this reprehensible request for sex during the daytime? Because doing sex during the day period is considered as one of the greatest sin, and a sage like Gautama would never have made such a mistake. So Ahalya was also confused. But one who came inside was not the real Gautama. He was the king of the demigods, Indra, who is in the disguise of Gautama. So that Indra, in the guise of Gautama, he said, As soon as I began to bath, a lovely nymph came there to bath alone and appeared naked in front of me. Her lower lips was like the bilva fruit. Her body was quite beautiful, and she had beautiful full breasts. Lovely lady, my heart oppressed by Kama's arrows, and I could not stick to muttering prayers. So I came back to the hermitage. Give me sex now, O my wife. Would you see me dead somewhere, burnt by the desire's fire? I will curse you, or and I will depart, and severely with a severe curb in my heart. Which wife would be ready to see her husband dying for the desire? So naturally, Ahalya said, assuming that one who has come is her husband Gauthama only. Having abandoned your Vedic recitation and worship of gods, why are you asking for sex? This is inappropriate for you. You are a Brahmin sage. However, I will obey your command because for a woman there is never another duty than obedience to her husband. This is considered as a protocol, as something that a woman is supposed to follow in the Indian traditional families. Believing that he was her own husband because of his voice, shape, demeanor, Ahalya got into the bed to have a sex with the person who happens to be Indra in the guise of Gauthama. Without hesitation, the killer of Jambha, one of the demon who was killed by Indra in the past, who is now in the shape of Gauthama, dallying with her, kissing and embracing her, unfastening her skirt, and so on. But when she smelled his celestial fragrance at the height of their meeting, she became very frightened and trembled. In her mind, she pondered, does he have a false body? Could he become a severe stain on me, like the one on the moon? If both my families were ruined because of my intercourse with this depraved man, how could I know my face? How could I show my face, which is darkened by the disgrace in this whole world? But to what fate will my dear husband, the sage, will going to bring me? How my husband would have got angry upon me. Then angrily she asked that rogue, who are you? Who you have taken a false body? I was unsuspecting because of my husband's body that you have taken. Speak, if not, I will going to curse you. Addressed in this way, Indra manifested his own body because he was frightened of a curse. It was decked with celestial ornaments, had a diadem and gold bracelets, and his lotus like face with glittering because of earrings of astonishing splendor. Then he said to her, know that I am Shachi's husband. Shachi happens to be wife of Indra. I am her husband. Your lovely appearance has made me become agitated with passion's fire, and because of that reason, I could not get my any satisfaction anywhere. So I have done this. Therefore, you should respectfully enjoy me. I am the Lord of the triple world. Since I am the Lord of the triple world, every woman would be desiring to have me. So you also comes under the same triple world. You are one of the subject of the triple world. So what is problem with you in having the enjoyment with me? After she had heard his speech, the sage's wife was filled with anger and almost belching flames from her mouth. She spoke to Indra, because of his body was yours, because his body was yours. Fool, when my husband arrived, I am unaware that what the situation might be. Performer of 100 Ashwamedha yagas, You have shattered my fidelity to my husband, and I have committed a monstrous evil into what condition will I enter as a result of the curse which will come from Gautama's voice. So she was more worried what her husband would think about because of all these things that had happened in her life. She was not interested in Indra. She was not having any interest in this celestial god. She was a devout wife, but unfortunately at that moment she thought that one who has come inside the home and one who is talking to her happens to be basically her husband, because Indra came inside in the form of her husband, mimicking the voice of her husband. Thus ends the 30th chapter of Upasana Khanda of the glorious Ganesha Purana, in which the Ahalya was violated by Indra, her fidelity was violated. These kind of situations often do happen. Ahalya here was completely helpless. She was knowing nothing about what exactly is happening. In the beginning, she assumed because the person who came inside was exactly having the form of her husband Gauthama, he was also mimicking the same voice. So she got cheated by Indra, but later, by smelling the eternal fragrance, the celestial fragrance of Indra, she could realize that it is not her husband, it is somebody else. In the traditions of India, these kind of women, instead of being derogated as someone who got spoiled, Ahalya was considered one of the great women whom we remember in the early morning. It's called as Pratasmaraniya Kanya. Two things were told about her. She was considered as Kanya, the virgin woman, as well someone whom we need to remember in the morning when we get up from the bed. Because someone else, maybe the king Indra, but someone else has violated her, and because of that reason, she suffered for hundreds of years, and later she again got reunited with her husband Gauthama. Namaste Sharada Devi Kashmira Puravasini Twamaham Prarthaye Nityam Vidya Danancha Dehime. Goodbye.